And now it is my pleasure to introduce my guest for tonight's show, percussionist Cameron Leach. Good evening, Cameron.
Hey, how's it going?
Going great, and thank you so much for that wonderful piece. Tell us a little bit about Blues for Gilbert.
Yeah, so Blues for Gilbert is actually the very first piece that I ever learned for a keyboard percussion instrument. So that was, I guess, about 10 years ago at this point, and it's a beautiful vibraphone solo, as you know, as everybody could hear, sort of this solemn, serene, very melancholy tone to it, and it's a great way to kind of bring together this classical, or this classic, I should say, blues style with the more classical, concert percussion idiom that we're a part of here.
Now, as a percussionist, you have the privilege of being able to play such a variety of instruments, including the vibraphone. But I must ask, do you have the favorite percussion instrument that you love to play?
I've got to say, I think my favorite instrument, I love the marimba, don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful, rich tone. I think I like playing body percussion the most, things that are very self-sufficient, right? Things that travel easily. Some of these pieces, and you will see actually the next piece, it's kind of a great segue to the next piece, but there's a lot of body percussion involved in there, along with electronics. And I think the really cool thing about percussion is just that there are so many possibilities, so many timbres and colors and theatrical moments, even because we don't have something attached to our face that we're blowing into, So I don't know. I think body percussion and some of these more creative contemporary pieces are some of my favorites.
That's really awesome. And it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, even in pop culture, amateurs now are starting to explore body percussion. And it looks so much fun.
Yeah, it's very, very much like Stomp from Broadway, if anybody's familiar with Stomp.
I loved Stomp. It was one of my favorite shows. I must have seen at least 5 times. But let's go right into it and watch this next video of Cameron Leach. Tell us, what's the title of the piece and who's the composer?
So the title of the piece is Ceci n'est pas un bal, which in English is This is not a ball. Now, the composer is a friend of mine, Alexander Esperet. I'll say that very American-like. But Alexander is a French friend of mine who wrote this piece as the final piece in a very well-known international percussion competition called Tromp. He wrote it as sort of a way to differentiate himself from the competition, and it ended up winning him that competition back in 2012. And it's a piece, as the title suggests, it's about a bouncy ball, but the audience will see that it's a little bit different. There's body percussion, there's a big reveal at the end, and it's a lot of fun, and it usually gets the audience laughing by the end.
Fantastic. Let's watch that right now.
bow or not to bow? That is the question.
Wow, that was just amazing. Thank you for bringing that to us, Cameron. When did you play that? When would that was that performance?
So that performance was actually my very last performance before the COVID shutdown. So that was, I believe, on March 6th of 2020. It was at a new music festival here in Ohio at a school called Denison University. They have a wonderful new music sort of program and festival every 2 years called the 2D Festival. And that was the final piece on that concert. I usually end my programs with that piece because it ends on a very happy and joyful note.
Now you have performed all over the world, in all over North America, in Europe, um, but now you make your home in Columbus, Ohio. Is that so?
Yes, yeah.
And of course, you have been performing as chamber musician, solo, a lot of solo, but you also perform occasionally with the Columbus Symphony Orchestra.
Yeah, yeah. The Columbus Symphony. Well, Columbus first and foremost is my home. It's where I grew up, and so I grew up watching the symphony when I was studying at Capital University, which is right here, very close to downtown. So I would go see the orchestra. My teacher was the timpanist in the orchestra, and I fell in love with the sound of the group. I've never been an orchestral musician. I was a rock drummer when I was growing up. You know,
Really?
as many of us were, like pots and pans, and and playing shows around town. But I fell in love with the orchestra and the sounds and everything like that, which is really what led me to this career that I'm doing. But what I love about the orchestra is that while I'm pursuing, a solo career, I'm playing concertos and recitals and these types of things. I also get the opportunity to be in the back of the ensemble, and it's a completely different experience from front to back. Just the distance on stage, and so you learn so much on either side of the orchestra that I think it really sort of complements each other as you're listening and as you're performing with other musicians.
I know exactly what you mean because for many, many years, I was a French horn player and always
Mm.
played in an orchestra. And sometimes I actually miss that feeling of being inside the orchestra playing, because it's such a great sensation. It's a great feeling to be right in the middle of that, wonderful sound. But the next piece, Trilogy, is a
Mm.
piece for large percussion setup and electronics.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Trilogy.
Yeah, so Trilogy, this is an incredible piece by a composer named Dave Merrick. And Dave Merrick, all of his music for percussion was really brought to the forefront by a soloist that many people will know, Colin Curry, who is essentially the foremost percussion soloist in the world. And it's been really, really neat to at first be a fan of Colin and then be sort of a mentee and now be a friend. And so over the years, I've sort of changed my relationship with him. But all the while, it's really hard to miss the fact that he has contributed some of the most important repertoire for us percussionists with his commissioning. And so Trilogy by Dave Merrick, you'll see in this video, I'm literally surrounded by instruments. I've got the big rock band 1980s gong behind me, the whole thing. And this first movement, which is the only movement we'll do today, it's about 5.5 minutes long. It's called Concentrics, and it's full of these sort of electronic dance music sounds in the percussion track. So you'll see me flying around the setup between all these instruments, and it's just it's a really great piece.
I'm so glad you're a friend of Colin because, he played Vinnie Emanuel with me once, and that was a riveting performance. And I agree, he's done so much, with the commissions and the new works he's bringing to the repertoire. So when you see him, please send him a big hug.
Oh, absolutely.
And let's watch now Trilogy by Dave Marek. Wow, that was wonderful, Cameron. Now, the next piece I'm really looking forward to because it's for Zarb and voice and theater. Mm-hmm. What in the world is Zarb?
I know Zarb. It sounds like something from a video game or something, you know. This drum has a couple of different names. It's a Persian hand drum, first and foremost. It's sometimes called a tombak or a tonebak or a zarb, or there are different names for it. But what it is it's a storytelling drum in different traditions. And so you'll see sometimes similar to tabla. If you ever see a tabla player who can just move their fingers, a million miles an hour. Zarb is the same sort of thing where you can do all sorts of crazy sounds on this one drum. Now for this piece, the composer, George Apergui, was really trying to create something imitative where the drum and the voice are related. And it really ties back to the storytelling element of this drum itself. And so he's telling this sort of poetic tale of a racing accident where people are racing around this track and someone crashes and it's a fatal accident, and the onlookers are, they can't believe what they're seeing. And so it's a very dramatic piece full of fast words and yelling and all sorts of crazy theater moments. So it's a really, really fun piece, but it's one of those that's very challenging to perform, every night on tour.
And what is the title of this piece?
So the title is Le Corps à Corps, which is a French phrase, and my French is actually not great. I really learned how to speak some of these
words. Much better than mine, believe it.
I learned how to speak some of these words when I was a grad student at Eastman, and I would walk down the street and just be reciting words silently, to myself, because I'm trying to learn how to say these syllables.
I know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, but the piece literally sort of means body to body. And again, it kind of ties back to that poetic sense of the text in this piece.
Wonderful. Let's watch this great piece for Zarb, voice, and theater.
wake up! Wake up! Accord. Arrondisseur. Wake up! Accord. T'es accord. Côté accord. Arrondisseur. Autour du cadavre. Wake up! Accord. T'es accord. Côté accord. Du côté accord. T'es du côté accord. Arrondisseur. Autour du cadavre. Vous êtes déjà départi toute la langue de la coste du côté accord. Sombra lassan cool. Fräscha som lassan cool. Blökör, fräscha som lassan cool. Dessa blökör, fräscha som lassan cool. Bra, sombra. Ça va sombra. Bon. Ça bon. Façon bon. La façon bon. Sans la façon bon. Attends la façon bon. Casque attends la façon bon. Sans la casque attends la façon bon. C'est ça la casque attends la façon bon. C'est ça la casque attends la façon bon. C'est sombra. C'est ça la casque attends la façon bon. C'est sombra. Avant di tutto che raffa si è partito la langue della costa tu che accorgo la sua azione si beve lui le dinge per deve ora torna a cielo se sono che scattato sulla sombra e tu blind news tu possiede sono dei tutti buoni simul che lei tutto su sombra si deve più e adesso su pista perché molto freddo su freddo sono le scotte molto crisale L'era sono crilla curas doi Rondolo su trai, car, ora per te con chi le metti dei circuiti. Ora con dei polli per terra. Il suono sono terribile, le pronto delle bottine. Il turno tengo il lava l'utiere. Adesso tutti buoni siamo che
Wow, Cameron, I really love the Zarb. You know, it makes me want to play it.
I tell you what, there are some amazing Zarb players out there, and you know, if anybody gets on YouTube to look them up, I'm doing the best I can with that crazy instrument.
Now, I know you've been performing in Chautauqua, in Columbus, but we would really love to have you one of these days in Albuquerque. performing with us. We have a phenomenal orchestra, the New Mexico Philharmonic, and a great audience. I have to say, they're so appreciative, and they always appreciate new things and new work. So it would be wonderful to have you perform with us.
Oh yeah, that would be incredible. And I've never actually been to New Mexico before. I was just in Colorado for my first time a couple of weeks ago, getting married, and I've got to say I love it out in Colorado, and I've heard amazing things about Albuquerque. So
I have to say, I think it is the very best kept secret in America. People have to get to know New Mexico, and especially Albuquerque, because it's such a phenomenal place. And we always bring very exciting artists and very wonderful people. So it would be great to have you with us.
yeah.
And the very last piece is a concerto by composer Jennifer Higdon. So tell us about Higdon's concerto for percussion and orchestra.
Yeah. This to me is one of the best examples of what a percussion concerto is, right? We have an opportunity to see a piece that showcases all the different sides of percussion. We have different setups at the front of the stage, which is sort of a classic feature of a lot of percussion concertos, where you have these different zones. And so there's a drum zone, a marimba station, a vibraphone station, and then a station with a lot of just toys and trinkets. And so this really shows the audience what percussion is capable of, but it does it in a cohesive way where it doesn't ever feel like we're just adding instruments for the sake of, playing everything that we can. But the piece itself goes through a couple of different sections, bigger sections, and the clip that we're going to see today is from a performance with the Dallas Winds at the Meyerson Symphony Center in Dallas, Texas, which is an amazing hall, and
Amazing.
it's right at the end of the percussion cadenza. I play a sort of a solo cadenza. The percussion section joins in with me, and we're going to see it right at the end of that to the end of the piece, which is about a 3.5-minute clip, and it's just a great example of the melodies in the piece and also the crazy drum that's going on.
Well, we're going to watch that, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Cameron, for participating in our show tonight. Thank you, everyone who's been faithfully watching us week after week. Thank you so much. My friend Matt Hart, our production manager, who takes care of all of these shows. And again, looking forward to seeing you in Albuquerque one of these days, and looking forward to being in Albuquerque very soon for the beginning of our season. So thank you, everyone. Please keep safe, remain healthy, and enjoy the last part of our show. Thank you, Cameron, and I'll see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.